Hi, I am Alfreidia Flowers, the author of Same Old Tricks, and I am reading excerpts from my ebook. This poem is entitled Remember Jim, and it can also be done as a reader's theater piece. So it's almost like a series of poems strung together, but they all tell the story of Jim. So are you ready to listen? Here we go. Remember Jim. Remember days gone by before Jim died? You didn't know Jim was dead? Oh, yes, I saw Jim die. But before he died, life was simple, or so Jim said. Life was simple in black and white. Black and white TV, black and white issues, black and white people. Everything was all right in black and white. Blacks and whites built our nation, but Jim, wearing white suits or white sheets, made the rules. Jim made the rules based on lies. His lies were printed as laws in black and white, his rules, his tools. Remember life in black and white. Remember the U.S. recovering from slavery in the arms of Jim Crow. Yes, I'm talking about that lying racist Jim Crow. You didn't know. Hate ruled behind Jim Sheets' laws and tools. Remember Jim Crow's slow and painful death after our country dropped his rules. You say you don't remember Jim. You say you weren't there. Perhaps your cells remember. Were your ancestors there? But just in case you still cannot recall, travel with me down memory hall. I'll try to make the journey painless. I know you were not there in the 50s and 60s after all. Remembering Jim. Jim Crow was big and bad. Separate but equal ruled the land. Blacks were separate from white. Jim made people mad, mad with hate, mad with fear, mad with frustration. Jim wasn't right. I saw Jim in person during my childhood summers in Alabama, home of my birth. The rules were not explained, but they were understood despite the wounds made to Black worth. Jim's line signature was everywhere we went, even on public water fountains. God's drink. Colored water or white water signs hung from the southern fountains. What did God think? I didn't know what to think as a child drinking colored water that was clear. Was it clear? Jim Crow was a liar, and he was the author of fear. So no man, black or white, dared even whisper Jim was a liar if they held living dear. Jim was a mean, bloody coward, drawing strength in a hate-filled crowd. Covered by laws and sheets, he would kill blacks or whites who spoke against separate but equal aloud. Jim kept power until a woman got tired. Too tired to go to the back of the bus. Too tired to be afraid. Rosa Parks got tired. Then she got help from the church. Was God tired too? Help came and stayed. God's man, Martin Luther King Jr., and others, tired of Jim, came from all over the land to stand. People black and white, hand in hand, arm in arm, ready to die to see Jim Crow die. Die in Dixieland. Southern battlefield. Peaceful protest. Armed with signs and songs, blacks and whites stood together against the lies in Dixieland. Jim became afraid of change, afraid of truly equal blacks and whites together in Dixieland. Dogs, water hoses, eggs, billy clubs, death or jail attacked the peaceful protesters. Hate met fate. The unspoken Civil War proved separate but equal undermined our nation through hate. northern battlefield. The hurting hated turned to acts of hate and violence in the Northland. Hate and hurt burned on the inside. The hurting hated burned down businesses, burned them down in their own land. The 5 and 10 cent store was no more. The neighborhood movie theater was burned down with the store. The National Guard tanks patrolled the burning northern cities. I saw that too with my own eyes. Tanks to protect or shoot me. Hate and fear burned in the northern cities. Buildings burning in neighborhoods, tanks riding through cities like Cleveland, Ohio. And black and white silent majority, the black and white silent majority watching the war in person and on TV. Death in Ohio. Oh, oh. North and South. Blacks and whites, arm in arm, across the North and South fought hate. Blacks and whites, arm in arm, singing, "We shall overcome," by struggle and example, overcoming hate. Jim fathered hate groups, both black and white, across the land. KKK, white nationalists, black nationalists, and the Black Panthers were some of Jim's hate clans festering in our land. Our nation was at war. Yes, the undeclared Civil War Part 2 in the North and South had begun. The silent majority fearfully awaited the outcome. Hate was inside and outside. There was nowhere to run. Civil War Part 2. The silent majority didn't know what to do. How had it come? How would it go? We did not know. I, in junior high, didn't know. To love or to hate, I didn't know what to do. Would you? So I watched from the porch. I watched in school. I watched on TV in black and white. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. moving closer to some middle ground, agreeing that hate was not right. I saw hate, violence, blood, and love in the cities. I saw war in the northern and southern cities. Our government saw our country was dying. So the US government chose peace to save the cities. US government kills Jim. Hate was the poison weapon. Jim used it well. Hate out of control pulled our country apart. The US government stepped in and stopped Jim. They overturned his laws, and that pulled out his heart. Jim was taken from his station. Jim was taken to save the nation. Jim bled in the streets. Jim bled in the schools. Jim bled in private. Jim bled and died. But is hate dead? In 2020, we're still recovering from the war. Redefining, redesigning, recovering from the war. Today, we are still recovering from the war. Will we as a people fully recover from the war? Hate will destroy a people, a nation, or a world if left unchecked, because that's the way it is. Watch for hate weeds. Watch for hate seeds. Pull them out to live, because that's the way it is. Remember, Jim Crow died. Love was his defeat. Remember, Jim met defeat at the hands of equal black and white people that pulled off his sheet.